Exactly. This is the best intro right now. Hi. We're now live. This first episode is going to be very, very, very casual. Eventually, we'll have a fun little intro. I don't know why my lights are flashing. It looks like I'm in a freaking rave. There we go. They
Yeah,
stopped.
that's not good. That's not good.
Hey everyone. This is Dave, joined by.
This is James. I also go by Nomad, as you'll see me in the chat every so often.
Yep. And so we just figured we'd come on here and do what I'm referring to as episode 0. It's kind of introducing ourselves. We'll have the first full episode for Final Fantasy 1 hopefully in the next couple of weeks. James and I both finished playing it. It was James's first playthrough, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Final Fantasy as a whole, I don't think I actually started until actually it was 8, because I heard about 7, but I didn't actually play anything until 8. That's kind of when I realized that it's not a story that continues through all the games. So I was incredibly lost. And then is when I started with back to 7, and then 9, and then so on. I didn't play any of the earlier games until a little bit of 6, but now is my introduction into going through all of it.
Yeah. And I myself, it's pretty much the first game I remember playing when I was like 5 or 6. So we're talking 35 years ago now. I have probably played through Final Fantasy 1 now maybe 10 times in my life, if not more. But we'll get more into that for the episode. Just kind of want to talk about our backgrounds, why we like games, what we play, what we do. Just a little bit about ourselves. So as people come in, discover the show, they can reference this episode and be like, hey, who are these weirdos and why do they keep talking about RPGs? So I guess, I would go first. This is because I talk a lot. But my experience with, video games, like I said, started pretty much when I was like 5 or 6 years old back in 1990, 1991. Final Fantasy, Dragon Warrior, as it was called on the NES in the US. Secret of Mana on the SNES, just all sorts of different games. I've played. If I had to hazard guess how many role playing games I've played in my life across all the different platforms, I'd probably say probably about 50 to 60 different role playing games. A large that would be much higher, except I have unfortunately been. I don't know if I want to say addicted, but I was under the hypnotic spell of World of Warcraft for many years, multiple times. I just recently quit WoW again about 2 months ago, maybe 3 months now.
Boo.
Mostly because of the toxicity that surrounded the end game content. I was heavy into raiding, heroic raiding, just a mythic raiding, and it was just not fun at that point. And so just had kind of the epiphany that, I was done. Threw my hands up at WoW. I actually uninstalled it from my computer last week or 2 weeks ago just to free up the 130 gigs. And yeah, no, so now I'm back to playing single player games. I have been dabbling in Final Fantasy 14, which you can play mostly single player anyway. Story's great so far. I've tried the game multiple times. This is the furthest I've made it. I'm now in endgame content for the base game. So probably 55 hours on this character. As I'm learning things, because I'm also playing on the PS5. So the controls are kind of weird at first because I'm used to mouse and keyboard for MMOs. But yeah. So yeah, James, I don't know if you want to give yourself a brief intro.
Oh, I'll try and make this brief. But yeah, I started with NES as well. Super Mario Brothers 3. We're not going to talk about 2. I don't think anybody really likes 2, and if you do, I'm sorry. Um, Duck Hunt, all the good NES classics. Then PlayStation N64 came out. I got introduced to Resident Evil, Silent Hill, became a huge fan of those franchises, on top of some other things. Got a chance to have my own system at one point with GameCube, and then things just kind of exploded from there. Wind Waker, Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time from N64 when I had that, and my RPG library is not as extensive as Dave's here, but I do have a lot of experience in other parts of gaming. A lot of MOBA experience, shooters with Counter-Strike and Valorant. As I said before, Final Fantasy. I kind of jumped into the pool with 8. Did go back to, finish 7 up. There's a little bit of a history with that where the version I was playing would crash if you got to Yuffie. So did I experience the full game? I believe yes, but we're going to go past that. But the bigger things is like I am also a huge WoW player. Taking a current break from it, I have not decided to quit. Am currently in the end game content. I do play a lot of other role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons, DM, and gaming side of the table. Other than that, mainly just kind of dipping my toe in the bigger pool of RPGs, with hopefully David as a guide here and not a malicious guide. We'll see how that goes. But other than that, yeah, I think that's just a little bit about me. Maybe you'll get a little bit more as we keep going through this, and we'll see some of the games I've played extensively if we get later into the series. But we'll definitely have a good time.
Yeah, and the nice important thing is every game can be a role-playing game. Because if you think about it, Animal Crossing, you're role-playing as someone that has their shit together and can own a house.
Wait, is that what you're supposed to do in that game?
I
don't
don't
think
know.
I ruined it.
I just collect bugs and fish. My wife does all the other stuff. Yeah, no. Resident Evil, you role play as zombies, survivors in the zombie apocalypse. So, but yeah, console
Yeah,
wise, I've been started with the NES, Super Nintendo. I've never had a Genesis or Sega system in my life. Um, I grew up in my house had the Nintendo systems. My backdoor neighbor had the Sega system, so we would go to each other's houses and experience the other side of the coin that way. Um,
I think I went from Nintendo, skipped Super Nintendo to like N64, PlayStation, PS2, GameCube, and then from there just leapfrogged over to just PC gaming in general. Everything was on PC, and if it wasn't, we found a way to play it on PC.
yeah. Yep. Yeah. No. I've had NES, SNES, N64, CDI. I had a Philips CDI my dad got us one year. Don't know what he was thinking. I think it's still at their house. Um,
Dust collector
GameCube,
at this point.
pretty much. GameCube, PlayStation, PS2, OG Xbox, PS3, PS4, PS5. I had a Wii U. Did have an Xbox Series S for a while, so I got rid of it. And recently, I've had a Switch, and I now have a Switch too. So I've pretty much had almost every home console you can think of, aside from Xbox 360 and the Xbox One. Was that what it's called? The Xbox One.
Yeah, I think of
Um,
it. Yeah, sounds right.
yeah, and then anything no Sega Dreamcast, but one of my good friends growing up had a Dreamcast, so I actually did experience Dreamcast through him. He was a big fan of Shenmue, which maybe eventually we'll play Shenmue. I've heard some pretty. I guess it hasn't aged well, and I guess Shenmue 3 is garbage. Yeah, Kickstarter games. Which isn't fair. There are some good Kickstarter games. Bloodstain's a great Kickstarter game. I backed that. It was worth it. So yeah, but yeah, no. And then PC as well. Right now my main console is actually gonna be my Switch 2. Mostly because when I don't have an Xbox anymore, Sony's kind of pissing everyone off right now.
Me too.
Yes, James for another reason. And so eventually I'll probably go back to mostly PC and Switch. Switch though has an insane library of RPGs, especially jrpgs. I already have Final Fantasy 1 through 10.2 installed on it, as well as 7 Remake Intergrade. So I've got, at least a week's worth of video games to play on that. So yeah, and then I spent a lot of time playing MMOs. My first MMO was World of Warcraft, which I played a lot of. I was unemployed during Wrath of the Lich King when it first came out, so I played a lot of that. I did play City of Heroes when that was out. It was a lot of fun. If you're into superheroes and all that fun stuff. Tried Dark Age of Camelot. I did Old Republic. I tried Rift, I think is what it was called. Did that
Sounds familiar.
Did that for like a couple weeks. But just always kept going back to World of Warcraft. That toxic X that you always go back to. But not me. No more for me.
Don't worry, we'll get you back.
Nope, no desire. No desire to ever return to that. I've uninstalled.
Say that now.
Uninstalled the game, removed any add-ons, applications on my computer that I was using for raid leading. Yeah. You know what? I'm actually going to go and, while we're doing this, delete my entire folder of WoW shortcuts. My web browser.
That is cruel. That is cruel.
There we go. Take that. WoW head, icy veins, and all that.
I started my MMO journey not initially with World of Warcraft. I played a couple Chinese MMOs, one called Conquer Online. Got pulled into World of Warcraft around vanilla. And that was an experience in itself, playing that on dial-up and Ventrilo and trying to manage people and personalities. You know how that goes. Raid leading and guild leading was not fun in the times I did it up to before I left, which was probably right before Cataclysm. And then I probably didn't come back till the end of Draenor. Got sucked back in, and I'm still here. For now.
It was Classic that got me sucked back in the most recently. I ended up playing Burning Crusade Classic, then Wrath Classic, and then let me try Retail again. And then a friend of mine saw that I was online and messaged me. It's like, hey, we need someone for a raid. I'm like, and there we go.
Yeah, I did play Final Fantasy the 14, but it was back when it was bad, before they changed everything, made it good. So I haven't been back since, but I've seen a lot of the gameplay. It looks good. It's just, I don't know, I'm too tied into the toxic relationship, as Dave calls it, of World of Warcraft. And I like the, I don't want to say consistency because it's consistently horrible, but it's what I know.
Cat girls. All I can say.
Yeah, and there's a lot of other MMOs I've been a part of. I've taken part of like New World when that came out. Still kind of go back to it every once in a while. It's one of those nice like crafting kind of MMOs that you can just spend a whole day just cutting down a forest and and just come back and be like, well, I did absolutely nothing all day today, but I feel accomplished.
Nice way to destroy the environment. You're like a living data center. Great.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's what I do. It's for the people. Um, I'll just had a lot of experience, especially with the um, a lot of the Eastern MMOs, where grinding was essential to move forward. Um, that was prevalent in like Conquer Online. You see it on Lost Ark. You see it in all those kind of MMOs where alternate characters are necessities, and grinding on them is the only way you can keep moving forward. Kind of got burnt out on that, so I've just been kind of uh, coasting back on my good old love of World of Warcraft, and now I'm branching out into the Final Fantasy series, at least 1 to 6 again, and then we'll do the rest from there.
oh yes. Just wait till you play Final Fantasy 2. It is it's interesting. Um,
Oh, I've got it ready. I've got it ready. Again, I'm going into a lot of the games I haven't played that Dave has played. Try to be as blind as possible. No looking up any guides beforehand. Nothing. Just try to figure it out by myself. So that's probably going to be an interesting journey for me, at least in the beginning. Because if it's anything like the first one, I spent a good amount of time just running around trying to figure out what to do.
you'll do more of that. I will.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah, no, there's definitely something that you'll be doing a lot of in Final Fantasy 2. Um, another series that I also have a huge love for is the Soulsborne franchise. Dark
Mm.
Souls, Elden Ring, Bloodborne, Lies of P. For Souls likes. You know,
Yeah, those are games. Those are
yes,
games.
James is not a big fan of the brutal Souls like games, which
You
I
know,
understand. They're not for everyone.
a friend of mine has been trying to get me to play this series for forever. When the first Dark Souls came out, I was over his house and he's like, "Hey, check this game out." Started from the beginning, and I was like, "This game is just why do you play this? Why do you enjoy something like this? It seems like every choice you make just ends up bad." He's like, "But that's the fun of it. You just keep learning and keep moving forward." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no,
Yeah, no, it's fun. I actually
nope."
have the platinum trophy for it on the PS4 and PS5 version on the PlayStation for Elden Ring. So yeah,
I
uh,
will say, out of all of them, Elden Ring would probably be the only one I would play, but from a different standpoint of playing it as a casual. Some of my background in gaming has been with speedrunning. Very insignificant amount of it, nothing really too big to tell, but I've watched the speedruns. May if I ever deem, like maybe this is the time I'll play it. It'll just be probably the speedrun.
yeah, no, speed running is not my thing. I just like to enjoy things, take it slow. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I think that's the big thing with me is just it's the challenge of it. It's the community and like the um, chasing after that goal. Some games, especially like the Resident Evil games, I follow all those speedruns pretty heavily. Attempted a few of them, but it's I think that's where I get um, my initial draw is just I like the chase of the goal, and I like the craziness that comes with everything, like the routing of everything is. But I can see where people kind of shy away from it than others. But we'll see.
yeah,
We'll make Souls franchise one of the last things we'll play, maybe.
yes. And there is one RPG franchise I feel like we do have to always discuss at some point, and that is Pokemon.
Mm,
Um, I don't think that'll be a franchise we play in its entirety, on the show because That's a lot.
I think if anything, we could pick our favorite versions and play those if they don't match.
That'd be a good idea. I was
So at least
actually
for
thinking of doing a Nuzlocke.
I've I actually have a whole setup for Iron Mod. So I give a crack at that every once in a while. That's for Gen 2, and it's brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah, so no, I was thinking about maybe doing a Nuzlocke on the channel one day of, either like Leaf Green, Fire Red, or something like that. Um, Hard to do Nuzlocks with the newer generation games because of the kind of the open world
Yeah.
environment of everything. It can be done, but it just makes it a little more complicated. Um, but yeah, no, I've played Pokemon a lot too. Um, Started with Pokemon Fire Red on not Fire Red, Fire Pokemon Red on Game Boy. Never played Gen 2, played a lot of Gen 3, played a little bit of Gen 4. Nothing for 5, 6, or 7. Then played a shit ton of Gen 8 and a little bit of 9.
I only have experience up to Gen 3. First game was actually Yellow, and then I played Red and Blue afterwards. Then I jumped right into Gold and Silver. Crystal came way later. It came after I played Ruby and Sapphire. Then I played Crystal, and then I played Emerald. The other games I've just seen them played. Um, Never really had the systems to play them because after a while I stopped buying into like a lot of Nintendo's products and stuff. At this point, I had a PC, so I was like, well, if it's not going to be on PC, why should I bother? I can always just emulate it. For anybody who knows Dolphin, yeah, we love that.
Emulation. That is also something I have done in the past. I actually have been watching videos on how to get the data files for all of my physical games digitally to my systems,
Ooh.
which will be something I probably do down the road. I don't have a huge physical game collection, but it'd be nice just to have the files for them. But yeah, no, that's I guess one thing I should mention is James has talked about horror games a bit. Um, I do enjoy horror. I enjoy horror movies. I'm a bit of a little bitch when it comes to horror games. Um, like the first game I got for the PlayStation was Resident Evil Director's Cut. Um,
Ooh,
the
that's a good
first
one.
game I ever played on it was at my friend's house, who's the guy who had the Dreamcast. He eventually got the Dreamcast. He had Resident Evil 2. And I remember playing that. Like, this is awesome. So I got a PlayStation. Resident Evil. I got was it Resident Evil Director's Cut, and I think one of the Crash Bandicoot games. As my first two games for the PlayStation. So very similar games. Um, and yeah, so I've played like RE2 remake. I've played the remake for Resident Evil 1 on the GameCube. Um, I've played Dead Space. I love Dead Space 1 and 2. Um, and that's really about it for horror games. I want to play more. I'm sure that will eventually come down the road too, because again, role playing games. You can role play as Jill Valentine.
Yeah, October be closing in.
Exactly. I've got no problems with spending October doing spooky games. RE2, RE3 remake.
RE. So I'll say this: RE3 and RE3 remake are less survival horrors and more action, like kind of survival games. If we're gonna pick one, it comes down to the decision of which one is going to be faster, and probably a little bit easier to play. so it'll probably be remake because the original is just RNG heavy craziness.
Mm.
But yeah, we'll get there when we have
Yeah.
to. We'll make that decision probably in end of September-ish.
Yeah, we got time. It's what, July 13th.
Oh boy.
So yeah, and I do like being scared. I love horror. Like I said, I love horror movies. Yeah, I remember some of the first like loving the Evil Dead franchise when I was in like freaking middle school. So probably not appropriate for me to watch then, but whatever.
Or like me when I was like 5 years old, being scared to death by my upstairs neighbor with Freddy Krueger claws.
Yeah, I want to say I saw Child's Play for the first time when I was like 6. That probably
I think
wasn't
my
good
big
either.
first horror movie was probably Nightmare on Elm Street. That was probably like right around when I was like 5 or 6. And I had no like I should not have been watching that.
And my sister had a doll that looked just like the Buddy dolls from Child's Play. That thing fucking creeped me the hell out as a kid.
Set it on fire. Nope. Don't want anywhere near me.
Yeah. It wasn't the exact doll, but it looked so much like it. Like it had red hair, it had kind of the ginger-esque appearance to it. Yeah, no.
That's a no-go for me.
Yeah, no.
I don't want anything to do with that.
Probably still at my parents' house somewhere. Probably right next to the CDI. It's probably playing the CDI.
Yep, it can stay there and do that forever.
Yeah, it's playing Hotel Mario. I guess one thing we haven't talked about, handheld consoles. We mentioned Pokemon. I have played some RPGs. Like I played the first Golden Sun on Game Boy Advance. I played a couple of the Fire Emblems on Game Boy Advance.
My only like RPG experience with handhelds, obviously the Pokemon series, and Crisis Core. Crisis Core.
Mm.
I played that on the PSP, and there's another one with Vincent, wasn't there? It was like Cerberus.
Surge of Cerberus on the PS.
Surge of Cerberus.
That was on PS2 though.
Oh, okay. But then they have like I'm trying to think if they did like a port over. Maybe, probably not.
I wouldn't be surprised. They would, but during the PSP era, they were doing all sorts of ports. For
I remember Crisis Core is the biggest one because it wasn't my PSP I was using; it was my friend's PSP, and he had it. And I was just like, "Oh, every time I'm over here, I'm just literally just gonna play. I'm just gonna play this while we just hang out."
Yeah. There weren't a lot of RPGs on handhelds and systems growing up. Pokemon was probably the biggest one. There were some Final Fantasies, which were in the West called Final Fantasy. In the East, they were the Mana series. Was it Suken Densetsu? Or I don't remember how to say it.
I don't. That is the one thing I don't know. And then I know. I'd say the only other game I've played back when I had the 3DS was just Mario and Pokemon.
Yep.
Literally just all it was.
For the longest time, my any Nintendo console for me was a Pokemon machine. That's actually why I got a Switch. Was my oldest at the time. It would have been 2017, 2018. He would have been like 8 years old. We want to get a Switch for the household so we can play Mario Kart and Smash Brothers. Then it turned into me playing Pokemon. Then it turned into COVID and us getting Animal Crossing because my wife wanted it along with me. Now my oldest is into Pokemon. Now he has an Xbox, so he's a teenager. He's 16. He's playing Madden and the Fortnites and all those.
Oh boy!
All those. So I've played Fortnite.
Fortnite.
I've played Fortnite. It is fun. I will admit it.
Yeah, I've had my stint in Fortnite.
I'd rather play Counter-Strike, to be honest. I will say it did surprise my son when he saw me streaming playing Fortnite a few years ago at an Extra Life event. And he was like, "How do you know what to do?" I was like, "I've played shooters, kid. Like, I had hundreds of hours in Counter Strike." Um, so, but yeah, no. So that's kind of where he's at right now. But he'll still play Pokemon. Like he got excited when he could play Fire Red on the Switch. When Nintendo decided to milk that money cow again, because of course I spent the money and bought both versions. God, I got a problem.
Yeah, they did that a while back with like Fire Red, Leaf Green, and they're like, "Oh, here's some tickets for this extra content." It gives you like Ho-Oh, Lugia in there,
Deoxys.
and Deoxys, and like, just stop, just stop.
If they're gonna do it, if they do it again for Sapphire, Ruby, and Emerald, I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna buy that also because I have a problem.
Well, the I also too have a problem in it because you can see over here, these are just 4 of the Magic the Gathering decks that I have. Just 4. I don't want to go into actually how many I have because that is a real problem. But I do have a Lightning deck because favorite character from like 3rd favorite Final Fantasy. But I'll be happy when we get there, but not for the linear storytelling up to the end, but just to play Lightning.
I have decided to get into Magic as well. I actually haven't even broken the seal on the actual decks yet. I wanted to do that on a stream, so they're still in their plastic. I ended up pretty sick because kids are disgusting, germ-filled monsters, and I have 3 of them. And so they decided to pretty much just cough in my open mouth whenever they get the chance. And so I was sick for like 2.5 weeks. So there will be a stream where I do open up and go through those decks. I bought the starter kit. So they're not random decks. They are everyone who bought the starter kit got the same items, but I would love to see what they are. I'd love to check out the art.
Yeah, I will say I have an accessorizing problem. I not only have the deck box, I have the card in the same art that is protected by sleeves of the same art that I play on the playmat of the same art. So
that's just consistency. There's nothing wrong with being consistent.
Listen, I saw her. I had to get her. That was it. It was immediate. There was no debate. It has to happen. Has to happen.
Yeah, and I get that.
And then, of course, I got the problem child. If anybody plays Magic, Vivi is the problem child. And I also have Sephiroth.
Sephiroth, the most overrated RPG villain.
Yeah, we all know who the best villain is.
Ultimacia.
Did nothing wrong.
Time compression is an awesome idea.
We'll just leave it there, and we'll come back to it when we get through our Final Fantasy VIII playthroughs.
Yep.
And we'll have a bigger discussion on that. Also, we may at the end of we'll call it the original the line of Final Fantasies, maybe pick a stopping point before we hit some of the later ones.
Yeah.
And then come back to it to do a villain ranking. We'll see about that. We'll see, maybe if we can get a consistent grouping of this villain's good, what's their game plan, what's their background, like why they're doing this, the whole plot of it, and just rank them like that. I have a feeling it's going to be very tilted at a certain point until we get into the later games, maybe.
Yeah. The villains are interesting in the Final Fantasy series. Any RPG, JRPG villain is interesting. The best way to look at it is you're fighting God. They usually what it comes down to. Well, hell, Final Fantasy X, you literally were fighting God.
I mean, one villain in the whole franchise won, and then realized, crap, I screwed up. I need your help. Essentially.
We'll get on this when we talk about Final Fantasy 1 in more detail. Technically, the argument could be made for Final Fantasy 1's villain that they did win at times.
You know what? I'll let you argue that to me to see if I believe that.
Yep. But perhaps the villain was the friends we made along the way.
I don't think that's how that goes, but
No.
that works for me.
You've never been married before. Yeah, we can also discuss, what dog is better in Final Fantasy, Angelo or Red 13 / Nanaki. We know Angelo is better.
Ooh. Red 13 has a special place in my heart.
Can you shoot Red 13 at something?
I have not tried.
But there's the Angelo cannon.
But I have also never, suplexed a train or, something like that,
Have you tried?
I feel like that'd be a very abrupt end to this podcast if I tried, but so I will not be doing that anytime soon.
How far would we go if he did that live streamed? Let's watch a man try to suplex a train and he's dead. And
Train 1. Man 0.
Trains are cool. So I'm all for doing rankings. The internet does love a good list. As everyone has seen, how popular Watch Mojo and What Culture are. Because seriously, why not just rank the best protagonist hairstyles in Final Fantasy?
I don't think I'd have a opinion on that one.
Okay.
Could do the best ladies of Final Fantasy.
We could.
I'm not going to say much, but my favorite comes from 10. That's it.
Mine comes from 8.
Yeah. I got to steer away from the crazy people like that, so I'm going to go with 10 for now.
Yeah, 10 is good. Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
You do know Kamaru is a dude, right?
That's not who I was referring to.
Okay, good. Just making sure. Whatever. To each their own. To each their own.
There's some weird like parallels to. I believe it's him and one of the characters from Dota. They look very, very similar to Phantom Lancer from Dota.
Oh god, of course. Fucking Dota. You and your MOBAs.
Whoa.
Okay, well, Dota's better than League of Legends, I will say that much.
All right, well, now that's engagement. But I will say, in my experience of playing both, Dota's probably less toxic simply because if you make a mistake and you start playing better, nobody's going to keep trash talking you. I mean, they might, but they'll just leave you alone, let you do your thing sometimes. Where in League, if you make one mistake, you get insulted for it the rest of the game.
I think that's why I'm enjoying Final Fantasy 14. Is because of the social contract in the game. They will flat out ban your ass if you're a fucking prick.
See, I feel like that's also needed in certain MMOs.
Yeah.
You have to combat. Well, no. The opposite. I feel like you have to combat the asshole people with disrespectful behavior back to them, because sometimes that's the only way they learn.
Oh no, Square is just like, fuck you. It is no more account.
Blizzard's just like, we'll get to it when we get to it. We can't believe they got rid of /spit, but okay.
Whatever. They also got rid of human GMs, but that's besides the point. So yeah.
It's gaming itself has had a lot of changes for the better, and I will say not for the better over the years. But for the most part, I think we, as a community of gamers itself, have kind of helped keep things slightly healthy. While we do let some things slip just because it looks pretty and take our money.
Yeah. No, I hear that. Yeah, no, I will say, yeah, the environment of gaming has changed for the better. Could there still be more changes to come? Yes, there definitely needs to be. Again, toxicity. Um, one of the reasons why I quit WoW was just how toxic my own raid team was to me. And so I'm just pretty much essentially told them to fuck off. Just left. Didn't even really give them, just really didn't give them notice. Just left them high and dry. Yeah.
Wish we could say that's EA.
Yeah.
Hey, microtransactions, piss off. Pound sand, if you will.
I hate microtransactions. But at the same time, I like pretty things,
I don't mind the cosmetic side of it.
Yeah, cosmetics are fine.
But when you start locking gameplay behind paywalls, that's where you kind of get me to be like, this is not healthy. But we're not going to talk about Diablo Immortal anymore. We're going to keep moving forward.
That's still running?
Yeah, and I know there was like a point a while back where I could be wrong, where it was like in China banned the game or something like that for a while because I guess the transactions were too predatory or something like that. I could be completely wrong, but
yeah, it's believable. Looking up on the App Store. Diablo Immortal. 5 stars. 5-star rating out of 305,000 reviews, though.
It's probably all the whales.
4.7 out of 5.
Yeah, that game, I would say, probably one of the bigger cash cows for Blizzard right now, outside of the seasonal adjustments they get from the WoW players and then the Hearthstone players when expansions drop, and that whole scenario where they kind of try and squeeze you for as much as you got so you can get a cute little pet to look at you on screen. Thank God I'll never go back to Hearthstone. I am too addicted to Magic.
I tried
a Ysera pet would be nice.
I tried Hearthstone a couple times and just really couldn't get into it.
I played it a lot just as like kind of a bridge to Magic. And then we got Magic Arena. So even that, I don't even play that much. I kind of just play my casual games every week. And then usually, hopefully, I don't meet anybody toxic. Unlike last week, that was interesting experience. But you do get some players here and there that are just a little. How can I be nice about this? They try to feel better about themselves by just pub stomping,
Which, no, I get it. You get that in any kind of competitive environment. The unfortunate thing is, though, the people in the tabletop community, or even just internet gaming as general, they tend, you have the basement dwelling, fedora wearing, shower once a week if you're lucky, acne riddled slobs. I don't want to be mean,
The
but you have, but then I also have people like
the
Asmongold.
neckbeards.
Yeah, neckbeards. But yeah, people like Asmongold who, lives in a pile of filth. Uh,
Yeah, I didn't know we are gonna go right at it right away. We're already making our first enemy of the podcast. I'm kidding.
whatever.
I'm kidding.
I don't care. I don't care.
He's already got his own stuff to kind of deal with right now, so I think we're fine.
Yeah. But yeah, no, yeah. So no, that's kind of our take on, our gaming history, who we are, what we're about. We're hoping to get the episodes out in a pretty steady cadence. Obviously, you'll be seeing us on stream. Stream will be offline for a few days while I'm off on vacation with the family. Be back either Sunday or Monday streaming, hopefully, as long as I survive the wilderness. But again, if it's friend shaped, I'm a pet it.
So, okay, I was literally just about to say, do not pet anything that is fluffy and not currently your pet.
So, the cabin we're in is literally up against the forest. Like, no other campsites behind us. We went to drop off a bunch of our equipment yesterday, so we can check
Bring
in.
bear spray.
And my middle child and his two cousins just disappeared into the woods. Just woof. I went to go looking for them. They found a random trail, ended up in the middle of the woods, trying to build a treehouse. And all I could think of is, I'm coming home with a bobcat.
Bobcat, mountain lion, black bear.
Yep. Yeah. So that's fluffy.
Rabid squirrel or raccoon.
Squirrels can get rabies. Raccoons can.
Trash pandas.
Unfortunately, it is illegal to have one as a pet in the state of Connecticut. Not that I've looked into it.
It's only illegal if you get caught.
I live in a city. People are going to notice the guy walking a raccoon.
They might find it cute. Until it
Ev-
hisses at them.
Every neighborhood's got a narc. You know that.
Yeah, I live in a building probably full of at least one or two.
Yeah. Yeah, like my neighbors are pretty cool, but at the same time, I have a feeling there'll be that one neighbor who's like, "Why is he walking a raccoon wearing a sweater?"
Because he'll get cold.
And I'll have a matching sweater with the raccoon. It's my Pokemon, and it's my Zigzagoon.
It just hasn't evolved yet.
It's my Zigzagoon. He's my HM slave.
Just throw him in the water. You surf.
Move this rock.
It's not cutting this tree. It's just climbing it.
Oh my god.
Now I want a panda and name it Zigzagoon.
Hello.
Well, raccoon, trash panda.
I know what you meant. So yeah, I got nothing else for tonight. I don't know if you got anything else you want to bring up, James.
No, I think I covered a good basis of my history in gaming, stuff I, have experience with. I won't say good at, but exceptional. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think and the nice thing about doing this episode is we could be talking to people from the future too. People could be watching this
Ooh.
after they've seen other episodes. Um, time actually is a construct made by mankind, only to gauge our inevitable demise in a return to dust. Um, I'm the cheerful one in the podcast.
I was gonna say I'm the skeptical one, so I guess that makes sense.
No, so we'll have episode 1. We'll live stream it obviously, and then get it on podcast feeds shortly thereafter. Hopefully in the next couple weeks. In the chat, I do have linked our Blue Sky, our YouTube, our Discord, as well as our TikTok. So if you like to listen to two random guys talk about RPGs and post stupid videos about them, give us a like, follow, subscribe, join, share, save, follow,
Yeah, especially if
repost.
you join the Discord, you can chat with us here and there. If you have any RPGs you're looking for us to play, just drop them in there. Give us some ideas of what you think we would enjoy that maybe we don't know.
Yep.
Just give us a good recommendation. I would say.
Yep. Or even topics, because we're going to post obviously what games we're playing. So if you have a question or topic you want us to discuss about the game we're playing, let us know. If you have a hot take you want to bring up, I love hot takes. I love cold takes. I love takeout.
I love cold opens.
That's perfect. So yeah, no, Discord is the best way to reach us. Obviously Blue Sky. I do not use Twitter. I will say it's called Twitter because that's what it is. I don't use Twitter. I don't know if James does.
I have not used it ever.
Yeah. So, but Blue Sky, YouTube,
That's a
Discord,
lie. There's a brief period where I tried streaming a bit on PS4, and I used it to just post there, but that was about it.
Yeah. So no, feel free to join us, join the conversation. We will be streaming the episodes as we record them too. So if you want to get in the chat, ask questions, we are all for fan engagement as well. So if you think that we're full of crap as we're talking about something, call us out in chat. Because you know what? The fun thing about engagement on social media platforms is even if you say something negative about us, it helps us with engagement. So if you don't like the fact that I shaved my head, there we go. There's engagement. You'll all soon we'll all realize I change my look every 6 months. One day I may just show up with a mustache or a beard.
I'm fairly regular. About every quarter, I just cleave everything off the top of my head off. Not go full bald, but just short.
There was a few years ago I cut off 13 inches of hair, so it varies. But so yeah, any engagement, repost, shares are also greatly appreciated. As we grow, my goal in all of this is to build a wonderful, inclusive community to talk about RPGs as well. We're just two guys that, we're pretty level-headed. We like talking about video games, and we'd love to have more people to talk video games with.
I think this is the biggest reason for the bringing up the idea of the podcast was just to share our love with gaming, with each other, as well as build a community to share our love of gaming with.
Yeah.
And it's like we've said before. Any ideas you got? You want to challenge us on any of our takes? Come into Discord, drop a question, drop a comment, or Blue Sky, anything on TikTok. We'll take any takes you got. We'll try and look at it, look it over, see if we agree. Maybe we'll call out your message in the next episode. After that, we'll see.
Yeah. Tell me why Angelo's better than Nanaki or Red 13.
Tell me why Final Fantasy VII Sid is not as good as 13 Sid.
Tell me why Final Fantasy 14 Sid is the daddiest of the Sids.
I think we're going down a rabbit hole here.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's where we should end it. Is just
for sure.
Final Fantasy 14
before we go a little too crazy with the takes.
Oh, trust me, dude. You should see the takes about Final Fantasy 14 characters. Oh boy. Oh, you know, I'm bothered here. Oof. But yeah, so everyone, thanks for listening, watching, engaging. We'll post when we're ready to record our next episode. Feel free to also play along with us. We just finished Final Fantasy 1. Final Fantasy 2 is up next. It's available on pretty much every goddamn platform you can imagine. You can probably play it on a smart TV, probably play on a smart refrigerator at this point. Kind of like how Doom runs on bacteria. So, James, thanks for joining me tonight.
Yeah, it was fun. I can't wait for us to go over Final Fantasy 1. I have I have a lot to say about the game as it's my first time playing it, and some funny takes as well with it, because I just finished playing it last night.
Yeah. So yeah, and everyone have a wonderful night. We'll get this uploaded also to YouTube eventually. This episode will go on YouTube and podcast feeds when episode 1 launches. Just because that way there's not just some one random episode of two weirdos just talking about video games just in the ether. But yeah, so everyone have a wonderful night, and let me know in some way who your favorite Final Fantasy daddy is. Good night.